So I just tried to join a conversation, if you can call it that. It was mostly just being bombarded, being invalidated, having intention put into my words, lots of entrapment, yes or no questions. We have to get beyond looking at somebody's skin color, right? And assuming all of their values. I'm going to fully admit here, I did not vote for president. The last president I voted for was like not even listed as an actual vote. I hand wrote in, right? Because it's always left versus right. Do you want to vote Kamala or do you want to vote Trump? I don't want to vote for either of them, especially Trump. But to vote for Kamala just because I don't want Trump, who, had a bunch of pending criminal charges and stuff like that, I want to do proper, in depth research for the people that I'm going to vote to. And everybody has a different mindset, right? Everybody has things they feel like they can and can't jungle. And right now, my priority is school. So I feel like I'm just going to let the presidency go because ultimately I've accepted that at the end of the day, it's just going to be left versus right. It's not going to be the middle ground people, right? Like, what was her name? Marianne Williamson or something like that. A lot of people considered her crazy, woo woo, but like, I really like her ideals, and I wish that I had done more research into the candidates during that time. I fully plan to write in Keanu Reeves' name for presidency for next election. But, I'm going to try and do my research if time allows, if stress levels allow, right? Because ultimately, the thing that I've come to accept is that the people in power, the people who run for politics, right? They are only going to empower the corporations, and that's not what I stand for. Until we can learn to love one another and not judge one another, right? To I don't consider myself an ignorant person, but I was called ignorant multiple times only because I didn't vote. Right? That's the only factor. The only factor. I'm privileged, and I have this life, and I'm not an ally, and I don't truly care about other people. I'm apathetic. Right? All because I didn't vote. I'm sorry if that is your perspective. And it's really hard to maintain like a calm composure when people are saying things about you that are not true. Um, but the best tactic for that is just to remain calm, let them speak their, don't let them put words into your mouth, right? Because you let them put words in their mouth that can lead to stuff. So when they say something that is incorrect, just correct them. That is not what I said, right? Because that's what they're hearing. When people listen to you and they're on a conflicting side, or they already have preconceptions about the person that you are, right? They're going to listen to what you have to say, but they're going to listen to what you have to say selectively. They're not going to fully listen. They're going to listen to something that, and wait for something that pops up that is semi along the lines of the perspective that they expect you to have, right? I understand that people have suffered. All kinds of people have suffered. But going out there and just attacking people because of the color of their skin, assuming things about them because of the color of their skin, I understand that you think you are an activist and you are fighting for your people. And I support that. I do. But ultimately, I think you're part of the problem. You're going out there and you're spreading all this dissension. You're spreading all this malice. You're spreading all this negativity towards other people in different groups. And you're not helping the situation. You're not helping the people who are actually allies. I can't be knowledgeable in everything, right? I feel like I'm a pretty intelligent person, but I'm not fully knowledgeable of the law. There's so many laws. To know them all is like you'd have to be a lawyer. Yeah. But what I do want is I want to make the world, but from the start, America, a better place. And I believe in I believe in equity, but I don't believe in DEI. And people can say what they want about that. I think DEI is just another I don't know. I don't like it, right? Um, and I'm not talking about wheelchair access. I'm not talking about equity. I'm talking about qualifications, and I'm talking about color booking. Taking a story that already exists and just changing the tones of the skin of the people in the story. Create original content, right? If you want to be truly DEI, create original content. Don't go and take stories and just paint them a different color. That's lazy. But as I was saying, you have people on both sides of the fence. You have the radicals, right? And those radicals spread this idea that, for instance, all white people share the same perspective. You're comparing me to another person born under a different rock who sees people with BLK skin color and assumes things about them. And I don't think I'm superior to anybody, right? In fact, I try to remain humble and wholesome as I can, especially with my new perspective of looking at the world, right? I don't even take credit for where I am now because I understand the only thing that separates me between, that person who's angry at me is the situation that person was born into, right? They didn't choose their parents. They didn't choose their class. They didn't choose all these different variables. That was just what they got thrown into. And the same with me. People assume that because of the color of my skin, I lived a privileged life. I grew up in foster care. I got taken away from my parents. So that was even more of a cultural melting. I already grew up in San Diego, which was a cultural melting pot. But then I grew up with other kids of other skin colors who were in the same exact situation as me. Maybe not same, but very, very close, right? And I had bonds with these people. I've never really sought outside of skin color, right? But I have, I will fully admit that like the way that somebody dresses does influence my prejudices, right? Unfortunately. And that's something I work on every day. But the point that I'm trying to get to is encourage unity. Look at the pros. If you only focus on the negativity and the bad, you're only going to see the negativity and the bad. And you may want to progress your society, but you're not going to do that if you're making an enemy of other people who aren't enemies. Right? That's all I wanted to say.